everybody, it's Gina. Welcome to the Library Mouse. Welcome back if you are not new, and if you are new, thanks for stopping by and checking out my channel. I am a retired teacher who loves books, who loves reading, and who also loves the creativity of making videos. So today I thought that I would do a tag. I have not done a tag in a little while. I feel like I am very behind on tags, and I love doing them. I love doing them because I like the connection that it gives to other booktubers. I like to be able to sit down and talk about books without necessarily holding up a book and summarizing it or reviewing it. I like tags because they have you go a little bit deeper into the what and the why and the how of what you read. So today is a great tag. It is to reread or not to reread. I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat, and it was created by Bob at Robert G. Reader of Books. So let's get started. So the first question is, do you reread? Well, first let me say what Bob said about this tag, since he's the creator. A perennial topic among booktubers and readers in general is whether it's worthwhile to reread a book, or is it just a waste of time? It's a question I don't think has ever received its own proper formal post, that is, one with prompts. If it's already been done, no offense intended, I'm not trying to take the wind from anyone's sails. Here's my take. So the first question is, do you reread fiction? Why or why not? Yes, I do reread fiction. Why do I reread fiction? Probably, most likely, it is because I recall the book with fondness. Any book that I have on my shelves that I choose to reread, it's because I have a good memory of reading it. I remember enjoying it the first time around, and it has been long enough that I know I'm not going to remember everything that happened in the book. And I think that's why, while I am very sentimental about most things and I hang on to things far too long, I am not that way about books that after reading them, I'm like, I don't generally just keep a giant library of books. Books that I choose to keep are books that I have enjoyed reading, and I think to myself, maybe I will reread them again. So the second prompt is, do I reread nonfiction? Why or why not? Oh, definitely. I probably reread nonfiction more, but it depends on the kind of fiction, nonfiction, and that's a later question. But I do reread nonfiction, especially if it was on a topic that is of importance to me, that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day. So I probably will reread gardening books. Oh, that's another prompt. See, this one's hard. I just want to go into the books that I'm rereading. But I reread nonfiction to get more information. You know, maybe the first time around, I know I didn't pick up everything I should. There are some nonfiction books that I know I've skimmed to get to the part that I needed to get to. I've talked about this. This is a nonfiction book, but yes, I reread it. It's a day book of comfort and joy because it is divided up by the date. So for example, today is April 16th. So the little anecdote for today is a little essay called Walking as Meditation. And so, yeah, I will reread that because I'm not going to remember this next May. It's one essay a day. So books like that, or books that I'm working on something, or I'm doing something and I know that has information that I need, like a reference book, yes, I will reread it. What kind of fiction are you most likely to reread? I'm not going to say it's by genre, that's for sure. I would say most of the fiction books that I read are comfort reads. Like, I see the book and I'm like, oh, I loved this book. I'm going to read it again. Other fiction books that I might reread are books that I remember reading so long ago that, but I don't remember anything about them. I think I liked them. For example, in high school, I read My Antonia and O Pioneers by Willa Cather. I remember liking them at the time, but now I really don't remember anything about them at all. So I would like to reread those books. I would like to reread a couple books that really influenced my young high school mind that I wanted to adopt a child later in life. They were two books. One was They Came to Stay by Marjorie Margolis, and she was the first single female to adopt from another country, and she adopted two little girls. And I just remember reading that book thinking, oh my gosh, when I become an adult, I am going to adopt two little girls from Korea or Vietnam or somewhere, because that's where she had. And actually, fun fact, so she married a senator, and I believe her stepson is married to Amy Carter. Is it Amy Carter? No, Chelsea Clinton. That's who her stepson is married to. The other book that I would like to reread again is Kim, A Gift from Vietnam. That was another book that I reread and reread and reread as a high schooler. Once again, it is about a family that adopted a little girl from Vietnam in the 70s. And so those books were highly influential. I really thought first that I was going to join the Peace Corps and work in orphanages in another country. But I can't remember who I talked to from the Peace Corps when I was in high school, and they talked about having to learn to rappel down mountains, and I am deathly afraid of heights, so that changed that dream. But we did wind up adopting our youngest daughter. So those are the kind of books that I would reread. There are other books that I would not reread because I remember them with such distaste. One of them is Moby Dick. I just did not like that book. Did not like it. Another book that I do not have fond memories reading is A House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. So yeah, I wouldn't pick up a book that I did not enjoy the first time around. I don't need to challenge myself to see if I'll like it this time. Another is, if you read nonfiction, what kind of nonfiction are you most likely to choose, and what is the reason for my choice? So I kind of answered that in the other question. I would probably not reread a biography. I probably would not reread an autobiography, although in high school I did have this great biography of the Roosevelt family, and I was very intrigued by them, and I did read that a number of times. But I would probably most likely read books that are going to help me do something. Reference books, gardening, health, mental health. Books like that I'm going to return to get more needed information. If you've read a book which has been translated from another language, would you reread the same book in a newer or different translation? If I read a book that had been translated and I was like, that was a pretty good book, and I saw that a new translation or a new version came out, I probably would not pick it up and read it. Maybe if like 20 or 30 years has gone by and I'm like, oh yeah, I like that book, I'm going to try the new version. But I really don't think that I would just pick it up because a new version is out. How many times would I reread the same book? Well, I mean, who knows? I have read books 4 or 5 times. What's funny though, I don't generally rewatch movies. I will maybe because I don't have comfort movies. I think most of the time I reread things or rewatch things because they give me a sense of nostalgia and a sense of comfort while I'm doing it. I know what to expect. So for example, I rarely rewatch movies, although I do love Miss Congeniality, but I will rewatch comfort shows. My comfort shows are The Big Bang, The Office, and Friends, and I will rewatch those. I will also rewatch Call the Midwife, and if you haven't seen it, it's on PBS. It is a beautifully written and beautifully acted series from the UK. What's the most recent book that I've reread? The most recent book that I've reread is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I did it because I remember really enjoying that book as a young teenager. Also because I needed a classic for Suey's Classic 6 Challenge this year. And I think I'm going to read for the first time The Great Gatsby for my next classic. I've never read that book. I know, never read it, and I'm going off topic, but I've never read it. And so I think that's going to be my next one. But anyway, I read The Tree Grows in Brooklyn for that classic challenge, as well as Maria Mendoza. She's got a challenge to read. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, I don't know why I said Maria Mendoza. Maybe it's the MM. It's Marilyn Maya Mendoza. She's doing A Tree Grows in Brooklyn read-along this month. However, so much for the read-along because I just read the book straight through. I just couldn't stop reading it. It was very different than what I remembered it being. But that is the most recent reread that I have reread. And I think that I think with just the question, is it worthwhile to reread or just a waste of time? If you are a reader and you are reading for pleasure, whatever book you want to read would not be a waste of time. Like if you want to reread the same book 20 times, that's up to you. I don't see how anyone can debate that it's a waste of time unless you're purely reading to get knowledge, I guess. Maybe people are thinking it's a waste of time because you're not expanding your reading horizons enough. But it all boils down to you should be reading for pleasure. I mean, that's the whole point of reading, especially if you're reading fiction. You know, it's pleasurable. It's something you enjoy doing. So I don't think there could be a time when rereading is a waste of time. Because I think every time that you read a book, you get something new out of it. you glean something new out of it. So that's my 2 cents on rereading. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the tag, Pat. And I will see you on the next video. Happy